How dare?
The chosen one
Charlie!
to die.
Charlie, shut up!
Never.
Charlie, shut
Never.
the fuck up.
Oh, you just won't stop chomping out of my ear holes. Filthy. As my granddad would say, you filthy rotten pig.
I wanted to get up really early, but I just laid in bed till like 12 o'clock, thinking horny thoughts.
Did you?
Not like you. Was it vanilla? Was it vanilla with a jazz music backdrop?
You know how long it's been since I've had sex? A long time.
So will you stop coughing and chewing in that fucking mic? I can hear it in surround sound.
Okay.
Ain't nothing but a holiday.
Should I try a different table?
But I'm here to stay.
What's it? Okay, yeah, you can try that. But what does it say? What about input? Charlie, shut up!
Somebody get this girl laid.
Ooh, damn.
Somebody get this girl a penis stat. Yeah, come around, Gory. I'm aroused. Say it again. Say it again.
You don't have a penis. I need a penis.
I'll put one on. If I drink enough, I will be able to plow you with a strap on, Gory, I'm sure.
Right. Okay.
So rest assured, relax.
What does it say on input when you go on your settings?
Shibidi-bap-bap-bap. No, it's not good at all. Not at all. Input.
On input, it says shibidi-bap-bap-bap.
Yeah.
What does that mean in technical terms, Gory?
It says
shut up,
MacBook
Charlie.
Pro microphone built in. It's not picking this up at all.
Try restarting.
Restart my computer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. All
It's
right,
worth a try.
darling. See you in a bit. Bye.
You keep chomping in your mic. It's upsetting me. Sounds like a fanny chomping.
A chomping fanny. Mine doesn't chomp. I don't know what yours has been up to.
That's embarrassing for you. Clearly not got all the latest tech.
Oh shit! Yeah. I haven't got the latest software update on mine.
Nope. Whoa. You might want to cut that out. That is embarrassing for you.
Chomp 3.0.
The Chomper 3.0. Chomper 9.0. Even better. I don't know what you want from me, Gory.
Silence. Just silence.
I've been looking at chandeliers. I think I might get this chandelier for my bedroom. Oh, chandelier. Oh. I want to swing from the chandelier.
All I want is like the fringed thing. But they're so hard to find.
Well, that's because most people skipped them a couple of decades ago.
They're very rare, it seems.
Why don't you just get some chandeliers,
No.
Me. Why don't you? That's exactly the face I'd pull if someone was like, why don't you get one of these like old fringe things for your room? I'd be like, oh, no. I'd rather shoot my own face off. Thanks. For my bedroom, I'm going to get a Persian mirror to give the chandeliers. So there's this one, yeah. Don't know why I'm asking you. You like fringed lights, but
yeah.
So there's that one.
I do want a mirror like that as well. I want a massive one, like a huge one.
Do you?
But I have a massive mirror in here, but I kind of like, it doesn't even have a frame on it. I kind of want like one with a big frame on it. Ideally, I could just get someone to put a frame around that one I already have because it's huge.
Just put it on the ceiling. Put the one with no frame on the ceiling above your bed.
Above the bed, yeah. That's a good idea.
The first time I saw, oh wow, does it look like that from that angle? Shall we take the mirror down? Well, maybe Naomi, this podcast can just be you in the background going. And you have to convey your thoughts on something to us via Morse code. And you have no thoughts, so it'll just be like a ning. Like in the hospital, personality dead. Ning.
Just try and fix it after we're done, Naomi, and let me know if you have any questions.
And if you can't, you're off the pod.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's something wrong with my computer. It's just been really weird. So annoying because it's only been 2 years, and I think I'm just outside of my warranty as well. So I'm gonna have to pay like at least 500 quid to get it fixed.
Yeah, that's great. And I can't deny it.
And now we can't hear anyone because Charlie's screaming.
You're not annoyed, but you're not irritated by that, are you, Gory? I would say that's pot kettle black, given that you've spent all morning chomping into your mic. Poor people listening. I'm sorry. I apologise on her behalf. And I can't deny it. Many times I thought of cutting up what my heart just ain't. I'm gonna roll myself up in our big balls.
My big balls.
With my big balls. And thank you and good night, guys. I've been Charlie. See you later.
Bye.
Good minutes.
I'm back.
Shit.
Should we do a fucking podcast or what, mate? You know, some of us got places to be.
Right, so on this episode, we are talking about what is happening in Iran. And I'm sure everyone, or most people, will be aware that there is a huge movement that is happening in Iran right now. And I personally think it is absolutely incredible. I think the people that are leading it are so inspirational and so brave. So what started off as a women's movement has now spread and become a movement in which the people of Iran are essentially protesting various areas of corruption and inequality and injustice that they are not happy with in their country. And they have been posting online on social media hashtag for whatever, as in like, I'm protesting for this reason. I'm protesting because my mum is forced to wear a hijab. I'm protesting because our government is corrupt, blah, 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 blah. And it's so powerful for me because this is a regime that will kill people and that is killing people. And to stand up to that.
How many people have dead so far? Like 300? 300 people dead so far?
I've seen different numbers, to be fair. I've seen like around 200, 300
because they're trying to like suppress things, aren't like it's so hard to like even get like videos out on social media because they're like they're suppressing everything, aren't they, the government?
Of course. And that's what's making this movement so powerful, is the use of social media. So there have been protests in Iran before, women protesting, people protesting again, like corrupt governments or the Shah, meaning the king. But the difference with this one is that it's being led by young people who are tech savvy, and so they're able to get these videos online. And then that puts pressure on the regime, because if it's online, that means the world is watching. We can see.
The thing that that is one of the things that occurred to me, like when looking at all of this, is that there's so many negatives that come out of social media and misinformation, etc. But this is an example of a huge positive. These people
love it,
can see a different way of life for women, and they can communicate and get across what's happening so that the world can be horrified alongside them.
I fucking love it. We probably need to talk a little. We need to mention why it's happened. Don't we? What lit the flame?
So we know what lit the flame, but going even further back than that, then, is it 1979? There was a previous government in Iran.
There was that was the monarch that was in at this point. It was the Shah, the king, and then 1979 was the revolution.
That was supposed to get rid of the violence and bullying and treatment of women and etc. But essentially, they replaced this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is they replaced the same with the same. and they just continue to bully their people.
Well, my understanding was that at that point, if you were a middle-class woman, and this was even under the Shah, if you were a middle-class woman, perhaps in a slightly more westernized household, then there were freedoms that you had, as in like you could be out wearing miniskirts, like there was a sexual revolution that happened. But if you were in a more religious household, then you were, and poorer, then you were ultimately suppressed. And there were...
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. To the point that in some religious households, women would not be allowed to go to universities because of, I don't know, I can only guess the things that they would learn there, things that we would consider liberating, and maybe perhaps a religious household would see as like, I don't know, like Western filth, I guess. I think as well, like, so you had this like modernization, or whatever that was happening to a degree, and there were some people, but then also like the Shah was corrupt and also placed there by the West as well. So there's a democratically elected government that had been there before, and then we helped to get rid of that because this person wanted to nationalize, like it was saying in that video, Gory wanted to nationalize oil, and the West was like, no, that's not going to work for us. And a monarchy. And so there was like all this inequality and like poverty, like some people had so much and some people had so little. Some people felt left behind by the modernization, I think, that was happening. And that would be the religious working class, and people weren't happy. So then like a revolution started that was apparently initially led by left-wing intellectuals, from what I can understand.
Oh, I hate them.
Then
liberal elite.
And then overtaken by
Guardian reading wokies.
wokies. But I tell you what, though, I don't think they were very woke in terms of wanting to revolutionize for women.
No,
I don't think.
Of course not. It's a side note, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like kind of like, from my understanding, anyone in the comments, feel free to correct us, obviously, but my understanding is that it was like very much a male-centered revolution. And then anyway, and then it was like started with like left-wing intellectuals and then taken over by Islamic extremists. And then it became like the Islamic Revolution, which kind of centered suppressing women quite quickly as well. So it was not revolutionary for women at all.
Was it revolutionary for men?
Actually, I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I mean, they're not really important anywhere, this. So.
Yeah, who cares?
But I mean, okay, but today we're talking about women and what happened. So
there was talk of women being like wearing the hijab, but at first it was like, it's a choice. And then quite quickly they were handing out hijabs. And it was like, it's no longer a choice. And I am not sure if that is when the morality police started. I find the concept of that so interesting.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they have it in like Saudi Arabia
it's like
as
a George
well,
Orwell book, isn't it?
The morality police, like the what they call it, like religious police or whatever, don't they? Yeah. It's a crazy concept to think.
Yeah, so like
frightening concept.
Yeah, very, very frightening, especially if you're a woman. I think initially it was kind of sold as, okay, so obviously it was like sold from a religious point of view, as in like, we're gonna look after you and keep you on the right track to God. But then really it became more about keeping women in line. That's my understanding of it. From what I can understand, women are targeted much more by the morality police than men are. But again, that could be wrong. But I know there are forced confessions on TV from women who have broken the rules.
On TV? Forced confessions?
Yes. So
I've not heard of that.
So there's a woman recently who is a competitive climber from Iran. And she recently competed in South Korea and she was not wearing her hijab. Now, everyone understood that to be a sign of her protest, her standing with the women of Iran, saying enough is enough, and that was her showing her solidarity. Now, when she arrived back in Tehran, she received like a hero's welcome, but then she went on TV and said that it was not intentional, that actually she had just forgotten to put her hijab on and apologize. Now, Iran has a history of forcing women to apologize for breaking the rules on TV.
Disgusting. God, it sounds like Gilead, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So she was forced to apologize for not wearing a hijab on national TV.
Yeah, well, this is what everyone thinks. Because
they think she was forced, but they're not sure she was forced. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not uncommon for women to be forced. To apologize for their sinful ways.
Yeah. I mean, where'd you draw the line at forced anyway? Because like maybe she wasn't forced, but she just knew that her life would be a living fucking hell if she didn't.
Well, there you go. There you go. Either way, there's that pressure there as a woman to do as you're told.
Yeah.
Why do they even want women to wear a hijab anyway? So that they can't be sexual figures.
It's just control,
because
isn't
men
it?
can't control their urges.
Well, that's what happened to Mahsa Amini.
So apparently that's not even her real name because she's Kurdish, and for some reason they don't allow the women to have their actual names used. I've forgotten what her real name is.
Was it Joni? We'll look it up. That video that we watched, it was saying that with the fall of the Kurdish Empire meant that Kurdish people placed in like different areas or migrated to different areas, they are people who've been oppressed like throughout the Middle East.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that's happened. But I mean, it happens, doesn't it? Like humans, we do that, don't we? We decide that we don't like the people, and the dominant race will say, "You're scum and we know better." And so, like, it was saying that their language, their ways of living, even as we see through Massa, their names just all suppressed.
Yeah, and they sort of like, I believe the police made up stories about her as well, like trying to say that she was trying to make some sort of statement by not wearing her hijab properly, and like saying that she was like politically active and stuff, whereas in reality all of her friends and family were like she was not like politically active. She was very sort of like shy and reserved and never wanted to like cause any sort of fuss.
Yeah.
And even if she was politically active,
I know it still doesn't make it okay, but like but the police were like making up these stories to make it sound like they were to make it sound like they were trying to like hold her down while she was like fighting the police, but she actually wasn't doing any of that. They just like there's like loads of witnesses saying that the police just like beat her up basically for no reason.
Well, we need to explain. I think we do need to explain that, like, as in like what happened to Mahsa Amini.
Well, she was wearing a hijab, but not properly.
And she was visiting Tehran, wasn't she?
Yeah.
That's the capital of Iran.
Yeah.
From her town. Or village.
Yeah.
And she had her hijab on, but they told her that and she was visiting with her brother.
Yeah.
She was told that her hijab wasn't on properly, so some of her hair was showing. But apparently the way in which she was wearing her hijab would be typical of many young Iranians. So again, I think maybe the element of her being Kurdish probably comes into it. And it's interesting that that's not being discussed more. So then
it wasn't just anti-women, then it was anti-Kurdish, you think, by the police?
I think so.
That's a big part of it.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if Gory was saying as well, the fact that Massa is not what she'd be called at home, it's like a formal name because Kurdish people are not supposed to use their actual Kurdish names.
I mean, like that's like oppression in a tin, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. It's like we'll tell you what your identity is actually.
Yeah.
And then she was arrested, and I imagine that her brother must have been arrested separately, or maybe he wasn't arrested because he obviously wasn't. There was no hijab or anything for him to think about, but something happened in that van, in this police van, and usually the police in Iran, you wear body cameras. For some reason, those cameras weren't working.
Nobody was wearing it.
There were cameras in the van. Somehow they weren't working either. Which is
sounds like Russia. And he just fell out a window.
Yeah.
Oh, not again.
Not again. My
Somebody
God.
get those window risk assessments.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Yeah.
The cameras, they just weren't on.
Yeah.
Never. Can't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then later on, there's footage of her at the police station, I think it is, and she's speaking to someone, and then she just collapses. And then she's taken to hospital where she falls into a coma and she dies. And then very shortly after that is her funeral. And that essentially is where the protests start. Because the police are saying, well, she had a heart condition. Meanwhile, her family, like, she was... Yeah.
She had a heart condition, did she?
Yeah. It's not one that anyone had known about until now.
No. Must have not been a window nearby, I guess.
Yeah. God. So, her family are like, well, actually, she was young and healthy and had no prior history of a heart condition. Calling foul play, and also people who worked at the hospital said that she died from a blunt force trauma to the head. And so there were two women who were at the funeral, and they put this story out. That's like they got the story out there, and I'm not sure if they're still, but they were arrested. These two like young female journalists, and I'm not sure if they are free yet either, or what's happened to them. So like with a movement, although people in Iran are saying now, don't call it a movement, it's a revolution now. Like with something like this, there has to be like tension that is building up for a long time. Like it really reminds me of there are some similarities to the Black Lives Matter movement, whereby there was this
just had enough
building up. Yeah. And then George Floyd was like the flame, to this fuel that's already there. The ignition, exactly.
Yeah.
And Massa Amini, she was the flame to the ignition. But we're done, like enough. And I think what's made this so powerful is the fact that men have joined in, and men have realized, hold on a second, if we want freedom for ourselves, we also need to support the women. Like we all need to be in this together. And that's what is like fucking incredible about this. People from different walks of life, just like across Iran, just standing together and saying enough. But that the thing is, with previous revolutions that have happened, they have been able to quell them in part by saying we'll make economic changes. Whereas this, what they are asking for is for a new regime. They want a new constitution, a democratically elected government. And now this is not something that this regime can give them. They don't want to change.
Yeah.
So what will they do?
Fight back.
They're going to fight back.
So the woman I wanted to talk about, I don't want to say her name wrong, but Hadis Najafi. Are you familiar with her?
No.
So she's now become the face of the protests. She's a 23-year-old TikToker. And there's footage of her going out to the protest.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about this actually. Yeah.
And her saying she's really hopeful of change. And then she was shot dead. Now, again, it strikes a chord when you say in relation to the police cover-up, because it's written about that the police had tried to get them to say that it was nothing to do with the police, but and trying to silence the family, etc. But the reality appears to be that she was shot 6 times by the police.
Really?
23-year-old woman. There's some reports that say she's 20 and some reports that say she's 23, but like a beautiful woman in her early 20s. And I'm just so proud of I just wish there was more we could do, because I look at her and I am just so proud of these women going out there. Because sometimes I despair at the women in our own country and how we've got all these freedoms and this voice, and we don't use it. We're too bothered. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just.
I don't. In our country, I don't even think it's like just a woman thing. I think it's just like a people-wide thing. I think because we're generally quite comfortable and we're not facing a regime that's going to kill us,
so we kind of just
like plod on.
Yeah. And like we don't give a shit about climate change, but I mean, I'm not talking about we, but like people, young people, a lot of young people.
A lot of young people are, though.
Do you think? I mean, it could just be where we live, the difference in where we live.
Yeah.
But like a small town mindset, I guess. But too interested in like the latest Zara trends and, you know, the Kardashians. And I just despair. I despair because
I wouldn't say I don't know anybody who's interested in that, but that's probably because of the people I hang out with, like in a city.
Well, I'm pleased you guys made it into city. I haven't yet.
Charlie, you need to get out of that place.
I know,
please
but I have
move.
a child. I have a child. I will. Give me a couple of years. I will. But at the minute, I have
your brain is going to rot in that little town.
My brain is not rotting. Just means I've got to fight harder. I mean, it probably just gives me a more ingrained sense of pesticism.
Ingrained pesticide.
It's pesticism. Pessimistic.
Yeah. I guess,
Oh, the word's not working.
Pessimism.
Pessimism.
That's it.
Pessimism.
That sounded right then until I realised it was pessimism.
Is it? Oh, I don't fucking know anymore. Anyway, I want to get to a city. So I find that, but I just look at these women and I just think you're so brave.
They are so brave.
Yeah. You're so brave going out there and fighting, and I just want to be with them.
You want to be fighting with them?
Well, I don't want to be shot dead, but like I wish there was a way that we.
I want to be fighting with them with a bulletproof vest on.
Yeah. Well, I wish there was some more we could do.
Yeah, I mean, what can we do?
I think it's good that we're using this platform that we have to talk about it.
It's good just to really talk about it. And, just be very aware of what's going on and being very vocal about supporting them, I suppose, is.
Well, this is the thing, we shouldn't underestimate as well the power of social media. We're not saying that we're going to make some huge difference, but the fact that we are talking about it and we are putting it out there, that is really important. And that's part of the reason why the regime is trying to stop people.
That's why they're trying to suppress any videos or anything getting out of the country.
Right. One thing that's really incredible about this movement is that it's not fracturing. With the BLM movement, there were people who were like, all lives matter. People are, but there's nothing happening like that there. It just seems like everyone is on board. And also there doesn't seem to be a specific leader. So I think that makes it harder.
Yeah, they have like loads of clerics, don't they?
Mm.
Who just sort of like rule with their religious
But
morals.
I mean of this movement, there doesn't seem to be a
Oh no,
specific
yeah.
leader, so it's hard to shut it down.
Yeah.
But they've been like ripping the turbans off these cleric guys, haven't they, in the street? Have you seen that?
Yeah. I don't love that. I don't agree with that.
I mean,
if they're condoning the deaths of young women for wearing a hijab, for not wearing a hijab, then rip it off, mate.
If you're a cleric, aren't you just sort of saying I'm on board with all of this by default?
I don't know.
There's women, isn't there, cutting their hair at people's funerals in protest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
are they not allowed to cut their hair as well then? Is that why they're doing that?
Well, I think they're not allowed to have their hair out openly. Could be wrong, but to cut your hair openly.
Yeah, women have been burning their hijabs in the street. One woman cut her hair in Parliament. Celebrities have been cutting their hair in solidarity. It's fucking amazing. The thing with this country is we're so fucking, our media is so right wing. So when someone does try and stand up for what's right or stand up for like against corruption and for working class people, they are shut down. Like that's personally how I feel about the railway strikes. Like I understand that they are annoying, and inconvenient, but the way that I've heard like working class people be like, my sister is a nurse, and you don't see her protesting, even though the nurses are about to go on strike. But anyway, we'll get on to that.
Perhaps she should.
That's what I mean. That's the thing. She probably should be.
Yeah.
Like with what's it called, Mick Lynch, the leader of the RMT, so smart, like so eloquent in explaining why they're doing what they're doing. But our media's just done such a, I don't know if they've done a good job at it, but they've really attempted to make him look like a selfish irritant.
They've given one-liners to people who can only digest one-liners. They've given a simple narrative to people who don't critically analyze and are happy to believe that.
I think people just like don't necessarily recognize their own oppression.
Well, no.
I don't necessarily think it's just that people are like, I think it's people are told to just be happy with your lot. Be happy with your lot, stop complaining. Meanwhile, fat cats at the top are taking everything that they can, and we are told to shut up, and the RMT should shut up, stop complaining. Look how little other people have. Be grateful for your lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think people are fed a narrative. I can remember listening to like a Radio 4 discussion once about austerity where somebody was like, well, if you're struggling, you should just get like another part-time job. No, don't get another fucking part-time job.
Fuck them.
Life is precious, mate. You're only gonna get one, on balance of probability. So no. Why would you get another job? Why are you not furious? Look at these people above you. They're not getting another job. They don't even have a job.
No, exactly.
Apart from watching the dividends come in on their shares.
Yeah.
I remember like Mick Lynch being interviewed on TV and like the presenter saying, "Are you a Marxist?" And like Mick Lynch is like
dirty word.
What the fuck? Like, yeah, like as if like that was meant to like scare people off. Like, he's a Marxist. Like most people don't even know what that means. They're just like they're conditioned to think that the word Marxism is just like anything bad.
Marxism, communism, socialism, dirty words. Yeah, I know. And if anyone like,
and they don't even know what it means. Like most of them.
Well, communism didn't work, did it?
Oh yeah, loads of people died under communism. You know how many fucking people have died under capitalism? Probably fucking millions more.
Communism didn't work, did it? Do you even know what communism is? And any system is only as good as the corrupt leader at the top of it. I often say this.
You often say this. Yes.
Speaking, because I mean, one version of communism is not going to be another version of communism. Is like it's too easy to put labels on things.
Yeah, I also don't think that anyone's done it properly.
No, it's always the corrupt leader. They're never like getting equal shares of anything. Is that really communism?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, one of the things I would say in terms of women's rights is that we're very clear that we've got it better. And I mean, we have.
Yeah.
But the West, I mean, I've been watching I've got 2 pages that I've got open on my phone, like internet at the moment. One is Parisian mirrors, because I'm making the choice about which Parisian mirror I should get next. First world problems. And the other is I am watching and waiting for the results of the US Senate.
Oh yeah.
Because if that goes to the Republicans,
it doesn't look like it's gonna.
Well, that's very good.
Yeah.
But if it does, and it's finally balanced, that's another block on women's rights and another block on reinstating Roe v. Wade.
I think a lot of people were pissed off about abortion, which I think is swaying that, because they did actually go against like what most people want with Roe v. Wade. So I think they're like fucking pissed at that. So they've kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one, really.
I guess, but I'm looking at it. I mean, I don't pretend to understand it as much as I should, and if I had more time I'd like to. Same with Iran, I'd like to understand it better. I don't. But at the minute it's saying 46 seats Democrats, GOP 48. The GOP have lost 1 seat, and the Democrats have gained 1 seat, but there's only, I think we've got the results of 31 out of 35 seats, so there's only 4 to go, so that isn't going to be a landslide either way. This is very, like, I don't think this is finally bad, and this is going to have a massive impact on what the President of America and the Democrats can do in terms of protecting women's rights. And I just think like our own rights are very finely protected at the moment, but that could change.
But like, you know, you were saying, so they did predict, or like they've been saying in America there was going to be a red wave, which just made me think of periods. But it was supposed to be the Republican Party taking over, which isn't what's happened, even if it is close now. And also, you know, you were saying before about young people not being invested enough in the future. I really think they are, and they've been saying that it's Gen Z that have carried this election well in America.
So perhaps, yeah. So maybe I just like need to get out of
they weren't expecting them to like come out and vote, but they just fucking did. I think because of abortion, and because of like student loan debts and stuff like that as well. I think that they all came out and voted. Which I was really pleased about, because I get the impression that, especially in America, that a lot of young people are like just losing all hope in what voting can do. And but I think like also the other side have kind of started thinking that as well. So that's another way in which the GOP and like all the Republicans have shot themselves in the foot, because they've basically been going around saying this election is rigged and your vote doesn't mean anything anymore. So a lot of them were probably thinking, well, it doesn't matter if I fucking vote then, does it? Because it's going to be rigged anyway. Like even Donald Trump was saying, oh, if we win the House, then I should get all the credit, and if we don't win the House, then I should not be blamed at all. Like he literally said that, which is just hilarious.
That is so Donald.
Yeah,
so Donald.
So Donald.
Mr. Trump.
But yeah, no, I think they shot themselves in the foot with that, because obviously they're thinking, well, it doesn't matter if I vote or not, because if we don't win, then we should just do another insurrection. Like that's how we win now. We just do insurrections. We don't bother voting.
God. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously that's not the picture in the UK, but who knows? It America's obviously like far more right wing and troubled country. But like, I mean, but we rely on it. It's a massive, gigantic safeguard for us. Europe on its own is not that big.
Well, Europe fucking hates us now as well. So,
well, we're still in Europe. They don't hate us. They're just like, I asked my Dutch relatives. I was like, so what is the perception of England, like with the vote leave? And she was just like, England is troubled.
Yeah.
Are you a diplomat? Yeah, we're just lost. I think she might have said we're lost.
I think education needs to be improved, and then people will not be so fucking easily swinged by ridiculous like one-liners. Swung.
Yeah, education needs to be improved.
Then people might be able to like do talking better and all that, you know. Not like me, I can talk proper.
It is pessimism, not pessimism. Pessimism.
Yes. Pessimism. We've already established this.
What did I say?
You said pessimism.
Did I? Brilliant.
Yeah. We're all so good at talking here.
What did I say again? Pessimism.
Us grammar school students here.
Pessimism. Pessimism. Well, look, Gory, you've swinged it for me. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
All right.
I think people need to be encouraged to look at alternative news outlets as well. I think that a lot of our mainstream ones are just not trustworthy. I mean, could we recommend any to people? See, one that I really like, but that is very left.
Are we not preaching to the converted? I don't think we attract any right wingers, do we?
I don't know, but people might not know. Like,
barely.
Not everyone will know like alternative news sources. I really like Novara Media, which is like very left. It might not be for everyone, but I really like them.
Yeah, I like their stuff.
Yeah, the one that you sent that video from Gory. What was it? DDM?
Double Down News. DDN.
Double Down News. I really like.
They're good.
I'll look at more of this.
I like their George Monbiot videos. Have you watched any of those?
No.
He just like sort of stands in his like garden or something, just like doing really serious like speeches with like scary music behind him. I'm like, yeah, you fucking tell him, George. I love you, George.
Yeah.
I just like Stuart Lee columns in The Guardian.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff as well. Yeah.
Big fan of The Guardian.
Big fan of old Stu.
Yeah, I feel like the Guardian's the only outlet that proper covers climate change, which I feel is the most important thing we could possibly be talking about.
Yeah, but Gory, the Kardashians might have had a fight. That's more important. You remember that first time that Daniel Simonsen did like his little bit on Roastie Instas Good News? He did like a 14-minute set.
Yeah.
And then cried laughing at that. And then we went to see him, didn't we, at Edinburgh? And it wasn't that good. It was a bit weird.
He just like had a bit of a mental breakdown on stage. It was very awkward.
It was weird, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
We saw this person at Edinburgh.
Yeah, we went to Edinburgh. Do you not remember Daniel Simonsen?
No.
He did like a really, really funny set. Really funny, like on Russell Howard's Good News. And then all about like social anxiety. And he's got an excellent voice. So like so
it's the voice that Charlie gives every child and animal now.
I've clung onto it, and every single pet and child I've had since only one child.
I don't remember seeing that.
He does like, right, so for example, like this is his voice. What would it be like?
It was so awkward. You probably blocked it out of your brain, to be honest.
No. Yeah, but the one he did on Russell Howard's Good News was not awkward.
Yeah.
So he did one. He was like, I don't really like when people say, "Oh man, it was so funny, I shit my pants," because I think if that really happened, you wouldn't tell it to anybody. You'd probably be more like, I have to go home. So and it was like, I want to send you the link after, because like that 14-minute set was so funny. And then we went to see him in Edinburgh, and we should do that again actually, but this time we should go back to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Let's do it with hotels
for the last time. I think we've established by now that we'd never stay in a hostel.
You made
ever
me sleep
again.
in a fucking hostel bed with toenail clippings embedded into the carpet next to me. I will never forgive you for that.
At least you got to flash your fanny to the people in our room.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Well, it's mainly just
Can't get that in a hotel room, can you? Eh?
No. Mate,
flashing your fanny to strangers.
I can remember at the hostel, a man got, and would you remember, like, we went down to breakfast, and like there was a guy who just got a full roast dinner for breakfast.
I don't remember that.
That's the measure. That's the measure. Yeah, he was like, get like a roast chicken and peas and gravy. I can remember him like, oh, roast dinner for breakfast. I mean, look,
because didn't you bring your own food? So like, how did he get all of that? Like,
well, he must have. I don't know.
Either. Like, what a great way to start the day.
Your day.
In a hostel, though.
What do people feel like? What do you feel like your main takeaway is from what's happening in Iran?
One of hope that people will fight.
Yeah.
Eventually.
In the UK as well.
I almost think it's got to get really bad before people actually do anything, which is a shame.
Does it have to get really bad to the point that it is unbearable?
What do you mean with like climate change? I think it's going to have to get to a point where it actually is impacting rich people or rich countries and their way of life before they're going to do anything. And that is a sad indictment.
Iran, that's another thing that's like been a catalyst with Iran as well. Like their country is being ravaged by climate change already, which I think has like affected their economy, because that's another big reason why they're also fucking fed up of this regime, is because their economy is so bad and people are like really poor and just treated terribly. Like it's not just the women are just being treated especially badly. On top of everything. So that's the thing with these kind of like very totalitarian regimes. It's like, how fucking long do you think you're gonna get away with this? Because if you look at every fucking regime like this in the history of mankind, they've all fucking toppled at some point because people have just got so fucking pissed off in the end. Like, it's like, how long do you think you're gonna get away with controlling people like this? It's kind of like, silly, isn't it?
For a long time.
They do it for a long time, but it's
and they find new ways of doing it. Like I think that, like you say, with the media, they now use that as a form of oppression by putting out a certain narrative. Like I think oppression evolves with the technology and the time. But one thing, like Michelle Obama said this on her podcast. She was like, progress is circular. It goes forward and then it goes back and then it goes forward again and it circles back, and that's just the way. But we look at where we were hundreds of years ago and look at where we are now.
Exactly. It always ends up going forward eventually, doesn't it? So it's like, be on the right side of history, you know?
Yeah. I just want to praise those women and the men by their side and just,
me too. I feel very inspired by them. But then I feel inspired. I feel like fired up. I feel like, oh my God, look, they're doing it. They're standing up to a regime. Ours isn't, quite as horrendous, but I feel like we should be standing up to them. And even though I feel fired up, I'm not doing much more about it.
What can we do
in this country? I think I need to be more politically active in the UK.
Like join a political party and actually engage in it.
Yeah. I
have thought about that because I'm always like ranting on about politics. People are like, you should be an MP, you should join a party, and I'm like, I don't have time. But I mean, I think that's part of it as well. Though, like the way that life is set up is that like if you do a job, like a busy job, and you're raising a family, then there just isn't time a lot of the time to really do everything that you would like to do.
I feel like you kind of lose your voice a little bit weirdly by becoming a PM as well, because as soon as you become a PM, it's like a member of parliament, MP, because then it's like suddenly everything you say publicly has to, like, you have to have this consideration behind it of how is this going to affect how many votes I get, and like at the same time you lose that freedom to really be honest about how you think. Like that's why I love what I do now, is because I can literally say whatever the fuck I want. But I couldn't do that if I was an MP at all.
Well, at the same time though, Gory, you do have to be careful to some degree, because if you said something that was going to lose you or your audience, I'd get what you mean though. Like it's not the same as being, having to get the votes of the majority, which is
like when this camera's turned off, Gory is a hateful, right wing, minority hating.
Fucking love Boris, me.
Dear, she's got so many women pregnant. Whilst married to another woman, she just cannot help herself.
Yeah, there's so much you don't know, listeners.
And she farts, and with the window up in the car.
Yeah, she does.
It's pretty funny though, isn't it? It's pretty funny.
Right? I mean, you love it, right? So I think like one thing that I would like to take away is I want to be more active. I'm really glad that we're talking about it on the podcast. Brilliant. I want to stay informed about it. And I think it's as important as well for feminists in countries like ours, where it's not perfect, but we have it a lot better than some other women do. Is to it's important if you're a feminist to stay informed and to support women all over the world, because it is easy to be a woman. And
I like listening to I like to keep up to date with stuff by listening to the Owen Jones podcast, because he always does really quick ones that basically talk about what's going on. He keeps me up to date, and sometimes my views are slightly not aligned with him, but mostly they are, and I also find him a reliable source of updating information.
I mostly watch like Novara Media, and Double Down News, and also Byline Times do some good videos. I don't know if you've seen them.
Okay, no.
They're very sort of left wing, mostly sort of journalistic writings on their website, but they also make videos on YouTube now. And like I watched a lot to keep up with American politics as well. Like I watched Philip DeFranco on YouTube, and I also watched Hassan Piker covering things on YouTube. He's like mostly American stuff, but
well, I think a big thing as well is to stay hopeful. That's what I feel when I see what's happening in Iran, is people still have faith and they're fighting for what they believe is the right thing. Because I think it can feel like, I know that we felt before we've talked about politics here, and people are consistently voting in the Conservatives, even though they don't give a fuck about them. Sometimes you feel like there's no hope and it's just going to carry on. But that's what I feel I'm getting from this. It's like, there is hope. Keep fighting. Yeah.
I think like the main, takeaway is always got to be don't let the bastards grind you down.
Don't let the bastards grind you down. Very, very that. Yeah.
You need to get that on a t-shirt. Right, I need a wee, guys, so I'm going to go. And I also need to get ready for my night out.
All right, darling. Have a good night.
And I'll see you next
Have a lovely
Friday.
time. So, yes, good chat, everyone. Loved it.
Great shot. Great shot.
Great
Bye,
chat.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.